Hello, engaged audience. This is Fides Television live on Fides Media. I am your anchor, Dennis Joy. It's great to have you join us on another intriguing episode of News Flash, where we remain committed to bringing you latest and accurate news updates from the Fides newspaper. Let's get to the news after the short break. Please stay tuned. Welcome back to News Flash. Now let's look into the top stories for this week. Ban on street evangelism. We are targeting noise pollution, Soludo. Let's look further into the story. The Anambra State government has clarified the ban on street and market evangelism, saying the target of the law is not to stop the spread of the gospel, but curb noise pollution. The State Commissioner for Information, Dr. Lomifo, gave the clarification in a press release he issued to journalists in Awka on Tuesday. Another top story on the front page reads, Women's Affairs Commissioner disowns recalcitrant staff, warns against nefarious acts. The Commissioner for Women's Affairs and Social Welfare, Honorable Ife Obinabo, has disowned one Chinyere Nwanfo, a staff of the ministry, whom she said was accused of engaging in illegal activities using the ministry's name. Addressing newsmen at her office in Awka, the commissioner said Nwanfo was accused of taking a client's child and property and handing over to her late husband's relatives. This story is continued on page 4 of the Fides newspaper. No shortcut to wealth, Bishop Ezekiel Okafor warns Christians. The Catholic Bishop of Awka Diocese, His Lordship Most Reverend Paulinus Ezekiel Okafor, has exhorted Christians the world over to shun unbridled quest for materialism, insisting that there is no shortcut to wealth. He admonished all to imbibe the spirit of hard work, honesty, perseverance, and ability to wait on God's plan to manifest in their lives. This story can be found on page 15 of the Fides newspaper. Another major story on the Fides newspaper reads, COO students visit Fides Media. It was a week-long visit by students of Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu University, Igbariam, to Fides Media as they sought to learn the various processes of newspaper production. Between Tuesday and Wednesday, Fides premises were filled with the students who were taken round the various departments with the workings of each explained to them. One of the students, Miss Emanuela Ezenibe, said the visit offered them the opportunity to be up to date with the processes of newspaper production. This story and more can be found on page 4 of the Fides newspaper. And on page 12, Anambra set to ban use of phones in schools. While on page 6, 2025 World Book Day, Anambra NUT donates 1,000 books to Anambra public schools. Let's look further into the story. The Nigerian Union of Teachers, NUT, Anambra State Wing, has donated various novels, numbering over 1,000 to public, primary and secondary schools in the state to support the education policy initiative of Professor Chukwuma Soludo's administration. These stories and more can be found on page 6 of the Fides newspaper. Kapad Awka opens cooking gas station. Kapad Nigeria Limited, Awka, has opened a cooking gas station. This comes after its filling station was first opened on the 6th of November 2019. The grand opening was honored by His Lordship Most Reverend Paulinus Chukwuemeka Ezekiel Okafor, the Catholic Bishop of Awka. The Kapad Company Nigeria Limited is located at Awka South, Anambra State. It is a company that deals with both fuel and gas and has a supermarket within the filling station. This story can be found on page 9 of the Fides newspaper. And on page 14, a look at Soludo's 3 years. Meanwhile, Anambra nurses protest poor pay package, working condition, alleged maltreatment. Nurses in Anambra State under the aegis of National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives, NAN, Anambra State chapter, have protested against their poor working conditions in government-owned health institution in the state. The nurses complained, amongst other things, of poor implementation of their salary structure, which is known as CONES, saying that their pay remained the least in all the neighboring states. On same page, Soludo arrests releases pastor for noise pollution, bans open gospel preaching. Let's look further into the story. Anambra State Governor Professor Chukwuma Soludo has arrested a pastor for preaching in the marketplace. Though the governor later released the preacher, he contended that the act constituted noise pollution. He also banned open gospel preaching in the state, saying that everyone's religion deserves to be respected and not coerced into another or others using theirs to trouble the people. These two stories and more can be found on page 11 of the Fides newspaper. Now let's move over to our editorial for this week. Monday, sit at home. Government should now act. Details of our editorial for this week can be found on page 3 of the Fides newspaper. And on that note, we have reached the end of this week's episode of Newsflash. Many thanks for tuning in. Kindly do well to follow us on all our social media handles as showcased on your screen to get information on latest news developments. Also, do not forget to grab a copy of the Fides newspaper this week for better reading experience. I'm still your anchor on Newsflash, Dennis Joy. Have a good evening.